We're on our way to Mothman.
Yay!
And while we're on the way, Mike is reading Below by Laurel Hightower to me.
Oh, to you? Oh, my bad.
Below is a horror story about Mothman and survival. So far, it's like a survival horror Mothman story. But we are in Kentucky on our way to Ohio, where we were staying just outside of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is where we were spending our weekend. How do you think it's going so far?
Well, considering that we haven't seen a single horse since making it to Kentucky, I feel a little taken advantage of. I mean, this might as well just be Tennessee.
Our hotel we stayed in last night wasn't haunted, and we are safely on our way to our Airbnb. We just watched the documentaries, The Mothman Legacy and the New Jersey Devil, by a documentary filmmaking crew called Small Town Monsters. Both were really good. And now we're saying goodbye to the statue. We got a picture with him because tomorrow's gonna be crazy. But so far, Mothman's going well.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow. So day 2 of Mothman.
Yay.
We are sitting in the traffic to get into the town. This is what it looks like. That's the other bridge we have to go down. That's all the traffic. We're gonna skip that person's license plate all the way down over there. So we'll get there eventually.
Oh, someone gave up.
Someone gave up, so we got to move up some.
Yay.
In other news, we're very excited to be going back today, preparing ourselves for a long walk because we have no idea where we're going to park, and gonna check out the festivities. Excited?
Yeah.
We've already probably given up on being able to get into the Mothman Museum today because there are thousands of people in this like little teeny tiny town. So, but
yeah, the town has like 5,000 residents, and according to social media, there's supposed to be like 30,000 people saying they're coming. So
yeah, it's gonna be a little bit before we get. But we took our time. We're on vacation, so we're having fun.
Yep.
So Mike and I made it back. We walked really far. My feet are killing me. Mothman Festival was nuts. There were so many fucking people there. We ran into Damien, who is a horror author that I met online, like Instagram or Twitter, and he said that this was crazier than normal. There were so many cool vendors, really cool meet and greet options. We got to meet the guys, interact with the people who are from Small Town Monsters, which did the documentary from last night. And then I got to meet Ken Gerhard, who is a cryptozoologist that's been in on the History Channel and different documentaries, and he autographed one of his books for me. So that was really cool. Even talked to him about coming on the channel. Fingers crossed. Really, really fun day. My feet hurt. My head hurts. I'm tired. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum.
Hey.
We're very tired.
I also want to stay on brand from all the shorts that y'all have obviously been watching.
Keeping up with.
On the YouTubes. Yeah.
It's been a long couple of days. Yeah. So if you aren't familiar, which you're all super fans, so you already know all of this. Mike and I came to West Virginia for the 2022 Mothman Festival.
Word. Oh, they're two different designs.
Yeah, they're the ones off the shirt.
Yeah.
Speaking of paying attention to Voices from the Mausoleum, so we found this cute little place to stay, and we got here late in the afternoon on Friday. They had like this kickoff event Friday night where Small Town Monsters, which is a documentary filmmaking group, they showed us their film, The Mothman Legacy, and then their newest one, which actually doesn't come out until November.
Yeah, November 22nd, I think.
Yeah, called The New Jersey Devil.
Right.
And so we got here a little before 4.
Mm-hmm.
We got to unwind a little bit before we had to get our lives together and go into town. We ate, we sat, we pondered. And originally I thought this place was like going to be like an hour away. I don't know why I thought that, but I just did. But it was only 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think the town. So the way this area of Ohio is set up is very weird. It's a bunch of really, really small towns, and if you're from really small town USA, this probably will make sense. But we, the town that the postcode is for is 30 miles away, and it's about 10 miles away from where we are. That's in a different township completely. But yeah, it's weird. But we were only like 15 miles away, so it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we did get to cross over the Silver Memorial Bridge,
Yeah.
which is the bridge that was built after the Silver Bridge collapse in 1967.
Which, if you're not familiar, is kind of like peak Mothman story, because when this bridge collapsed, it killed 47 people.
Oh, there's the remote. Oop. Sorry.
It killed 47 people.
Mhm.
And it was this big tragedy. I mean, Point Pleasant's a really, really tiny town. And
Yep.
It was, I guess, even smaller then.
No, it was actually bigger.
It was bigger then.
It was
Okay.
probably about 15,000 people.
And then after this happened, so there had been sightings of Mothman previously. But then afterwards, like, there were people who had reported seeing this figure on the bridge, and there were people who swear they saw him when the bridge collapsed. And so it's kind of like peak storytelling time.
Yeah.
But it was really neat. So I've wanted to come to Mothman Festival for years. Like, I've thought, like, the story behind it was really interesting. The lore behind the concept of Mothman, and is he this harbinger or not of doom, and all these things. Like, I just always thought it was really fascinating. I mean, I think cryptids are interesting in general, but Mothman in particular being so popular with like actual sightings and people saying they've seen and all of these things, is kind of up there with like Bigfoot stuff. So it's like pretty popular. A lot of people have heard of him. But yeah, so we were like really pumped to get down here. It's kind of an interesting drive. I have not driven through like anywhere that didn't look like a city as far as like interstate goes. So that was kind of cool. A lot of pretty stuff. That again, I did like a TikTok on like some of the stuff that we saw when we were driving, and the little towns and stuff that we went through. But yeah, so we got to opening their little like kickoff party. We got to meet up with Damien and his wife, Brienne. Damien is a horror author who I follow on Instagram and Twitter, and I've interacted with before. And so he lives, I guess, not far. So he came and we got to meet them, and it was really cool, and brought me 2 of his books, which was really sweet. And so we talked to them for a little bit. By the time we got into the town, Mothman Museum was closed, which now we know if we come back, we'll get into town earlier, because Saturday is not a day to go into the Mothman Museum. And so, yeah, so we got to walk around. There were still like a lot of empty spaces. Vendors and stuff were still like setting up. But the whole point of the kickoff was the 2 documentaries by Small Town Monsters. And so like they had their table set up with like their posters and DVDs and shirts and some other stuff like that. And so we so we were like going to go see that, and it was on the water, so it was really cool. Like, you can see the other bridge, you can see I think where the other one was from where we were sitting,
more or less. I mean, it had been a long time, and they cleaned up a lot of it. The biggest thing is you could see on Google Maps where the road went. And then you could pick out where the bridge was at the time. And we did see the memorial on today, Saturday. But yeah.
So we got there. It was in this like concrete amphitheater thing. It was actually pretty neat. Fun fact: Angel fell, like, made this grand entrance, and I fell like down 3 little concrete steps I wasn't looking where I was going. That's the short of it. I'm a big klutz, apparently. And that was fun. No one, plenty of people got up to try to help me. So, like, that was not, other than my pride being a little, well, non existent after that. But after that happened, I pretended I wasn't wounded. And we went and sat down. And then, like, the sun was still up. So they ended up, like, postponing when they could start it because with the sun coming down, like you couldn't see the screen, like you could barely tell there was like anything on it. So it didn't start until a little bit after 7:30, but so yes, we got to watch the Mothman Legacy, and then we stayed and watched the New Jersey Devil one too.
And they're both really good films.
Yeah,
definitely go on their website and check them out. I don't know if they're streaming them or not, but you can get the DVDs. Definitely worth the money for the DVDs. I really liked the Mothman. What I loved about the Mothman movie or film was that it was more about the culture. It wasn't just about Mothman, the Mothman legacy, or the Mothman legend itself, but more along the lines of the culture of small town USA, the culture of that area specifically, too. And also it went on into talking about things like Mothman prophecies and how
it was really cool.
Embracing rather than rejecting a legend like this helped revitalize and reestablish the town.
Yeah, and so if you didn't know, the Mothman Prophecies isn't just a good movie that people seriously don't give enough credit to. It was a book first. It's written by a guy named John Keel, and he was like it comes from a very respectful and investigative stance on the town and how all of these things impacted the town and like what that looked like for the town. And it's really cool when you look at it that way. And then the really cool thing that also is in the Mothman documentary that I really liked was hearing from the guy that made the movie and hearing him talk about like, okay, so these are the things that, I want to make sure I include because these are very specific things that John experienced and talked about, and it was really cool. I thought it was really, really well done. That one was a lot more what's the word, like
reverent, respectful,
serious. I was just gonna say serious. And then the New Jersey Devil one, which is filmed in a very similar style. It had a couple of extra like reenactment type things compared to the Mothman one. That one was a little more like lighthearted. It wasn't as heavy.
It was more cinematic. And, it was less about the culture of the specific area and more about storytelling,
a collection of stories.
And how storytelling evolves over the years,
where it came from.
We can't get too much into it without spoiling it, but when it comes out in November, in some ways I appreciated them both in very different respects.
I agree. I agree.
You can't really say that one's better than the other because they were just very, very different, but they were both well worth the watch. I did miss a little bit of the New Jersey Devil one. Just the beginning because someone wanted a funnel cake. But
that's not entirely true. First of all, we did see a truck that said funnel cake, and that's like the only reason I go to fairs. I don't do rides. I'm afraid of heights and I have a fear of falling. So naturally, why ride anything? And so I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I fucking love funnel cake. And we're like, again, when we came, it was like nowhere near, like there weren't that many people there. Enough to be embarrassed if you fall down some concrete stairs, but not enough that you're like, oh wow, this is really overwhelming. And so, we thought the truck was closed, I think. Or it might have been. Maybe it was just like getting opened or whatever.
It was definitely closed at the time.
So we didn't get like a break between the documentaries, and we're pretty sure it's because they got like a late start. So Mike was like, I'm gonna go get some lemonade, because we kept seeing all these like cool like big cups of lemonade, like the flea market lemonade where they squeeze it and it's got like all the sugar and it's so yum.
Chinese soup
cups,
containers.
like it's and he was like, I'm gonna go get lemonade. And so I sat and watched the beginning of it. He didn't miss that much. And then by the time he got back, he had found the funnel cake place.
Yeah. And the lemonade was good too.
The lemonade was delicious.
And we got really cool cups, like souvenir cups. They had Mothman 2022 on it. And
then they got, so you paid, what was it, like $7?
$7.
And then you got $5 refills. So we rinsed them out and took them back when we went today.
Yeah.
But the documentaries were really cool. It went until like 10 o'clock, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then because there weren't many people there, I got a photo with the Mothman statue. Because like, I mean, even when we got there, there was a line to like get a picture, because this, it's a big like landmark. And so and then we came back and unwind, had like some snackies, and then we think we both went to bed. We were pretty tired. And then we kind of slept in a little bit this morning, Saturday, took our time. Mike and I had to go hunt down bandages and ointment for my leg because my knee is pretty fucked up. And so it's so fun being me. I told Mike what I should have done is I should have jumped up and like announced the channel, like while everyone was paying attention to me. Because it was like everyone was like looking at me. And there was this one point where this girl.
You'll fall for me too if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Oh, it was not funny yesterday, ladies and gents. I was so humiliated. I have no sense of humility. I get very easily embarrassed. We had to go get stuff to bandage up my leg because I knew I was going to have leggings and it'd be really uncomfortable all day. So we did that. We had breakfast. We got ready and we left. We went in. And I did a short on this too because the traffic, we have to go because of where we're staying, the way that we're going into the town, we had to go over 2 bridges. We go over a silver one and then we go over a green one. And by the time we got anywhere near the silver one, the traffic was already backed up.
Right.
And it was like literally went like this, and then like this to like go back into the green. And so by the time we, it took a little while.
It did.
It took us a little while, but it was fine. We were not in a super big hurry. Like we got to take pictures of the Mothman stuff on the signs. We did a short, we talked, like it was fine. But, and then we got like closer and we were like, I was like, okay, we need like, do we want to pull off like these people and just walk over the bridge? And Mike and I are both like, we don't want to do that. We would rather just float around. If we didn't have to walk at all, that would be great.
I'm working on portal technology, but the fact that I lack any sort of formal education in theoretical physics kind of makes it a little bit difficult, but can't say I didn't try. We did end up pulling off, and we parked in Henderson, West Virginia, and walked. So we literally went from one town to another. Granted, it was like a 5 but we crossed towns to get there.
Yeah. I think that was the right choice because at that time we couldn't even get into the town.
Right.
There were so many cars, and this was at like lunchtime. Like we didn't see the point in going first thing in the morning. I'm not a morning person. Yeah, I just was like, oh, we'll just take our time.
And I think the first act at the river stage and the first talk was at like 11 or 11:30. So we weren't really that far.
I think we went when it was like peaking.
Yeah.
Because we were there for a few hours, and by the time we left, there was like no cars coming in.
Right.
Which is so crazy. So we pulled off, we parked, I don't know, some random lot somewhere. And we walked, and I told Mike, I was like, well, let's make a decision. Cause like, I didn't want to I was like, I think if we keep trying to go, we'll regret it. And he was like, yeah, let's just pull off. So we pull off and we park and we walk, and it's fine. So we're walking and we get into the town, and the first thing we did was we went and got our refills of lemonade.
Yeah, no joke.
Priorities. What'd you do while you were at Mothman? We drank a little lemonade.
It wasn't like it was like sweltering heat.
No.
But it was
in the 80s.
Yeah, it was like 82, 83. So, for us Southerners, it wasn't that bad as far as heat was concerned.
Not at all.
It was just the fact that we had walked probably a mile or mile and a half at that point in time. And it was the weather, you could not ask for more perfect weather.
It's crystal clear, just a little bit of a breeze.
Yeah. And
Just so many freaking people. There were so
really,
many people,
yeah.
thousands of people come to this event. And the town is like super, super small. Like,
yeah, like this taxed the infrastructure of that town, even though it's for 2.5 days. It's wild. I mean, the town is per 2020 census records, because I'm a nerd and
looked
into
it
that
up.
shit. It was a little over 4,100 people, residents of
Mm-hmm.
the of the town.
Excuse me.
Now the surrounding, like all the microtropolis, or whatever it's called, was like 52,000 people, but there's only 4,100 people in Point Pleasant, and then you add between 15 and 20,000 people.
It was crazy.
Like it was yeah.
It broke Mike. It was like,
I-
but and you know what's crazy is like, so we have no point of reference. We've never been to Mothman before.
Mm.
We have not been in the town when it's been empty either, because even Friday there was a couple hundred people there. There weren't a ton of people, but again, it was a crowd.
there were probably about 75 to 80 people that were in the auditorium, like in the stage, but there were probably still about 1,000 people that came to Friday.
Yeah, and then it was just like really. So we stood in line and we got lemonade. We're kind of like looking around, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go this way. And one of the things we wanted to find was the small town monsters tent, because I wanted to get, by the time the documentaries were over, they had already closed up everything, and but I wanted to get like a poster and look at their stuff, and so we like went to look, and so we did the whole like looked around at some of the vendors, and then we just had like a couple of goals. There were a couple of really good speaking things I really wanted to go to, but the reality is there were people that had been standing in line for hours by the time we got there and hadn't even gotten in yet.
Yeah.
Because it's inside, and probably to make it easier they really should do it all at the amphitheater, but then they wouldn't be able to schedule as many people. And they also had live music and things like that too. So, but there was a couple of conversations I would have loved to have heard. There was just no way. There were just so many people. And then we had kind of already discussed that we probably were not going to get into Mothman Museum today. That was insane. And I was actually surprised that there weren't more people dressed up. We did see some.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people went the kind of lazy route and did antennas, and that was like it, which is fine. Some of those were really cute too, but like there was only a few people actually dressed up. And then we walked around, we saw a bunch of stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of some really cool artists and stuff. A lot of people that were there that did like cryptid art, or we even saw one booth that had like Halloween mask in it.
Yeah.
And there's like, it was a bunch of mixed stuff. There was like a raffle for a Mothman quilt. It was like $2 a ticket. And one of the things I wanted to try to find the festival shirt for the year 2022. And the event shirts were like that color green. Yeah. I'd be wearing mine, but this is my favorite shirt and it's comfortable. So this is what I'm wearing.
Yeah, we're in wind down phase. Right
yeah,
now.
like yeah. And so I was like, that was like a goal. Mike specifically really wanted to go see the memorial stuff. So we of course went and did that and took pictures and looked at that stuff. We took pictures outside the theater because they had like, welcome to the Mothman Festival, or welcome to Point Pleasant. And then on the other side, it said, Mothman Festival with the dates on it or whatever. We took pictures in front of that. And then, we went through, so they had like these 2 rows of tents that were meet and greets. And it was like authors, like I want to say TV personalities, but I mean people who've been in like documentaries and things of that nature. And so we're going through, there was like one that was shorter, and then there was like a really long set of tents, multiple tents, but it was a longer section, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, but we went through one and I was like, I saw this guy and he had a hat on, and I was like, he looks really familiar. And I looked down and I saw that his like table said like History Channel, and I was like, God, why does he look so familiar? And then, like, as we're looking, we were still, I think that was right after we found Small Town Monsters, because we did find their tent. We went and talked to them for a little bit. They were all really nice, and they had
we were at that point, we were preparing to like leave,
head out. Exit. We were going through the other part of it that would have led us to the main street that takes you out. And so, and Mike stopped and talked to Jeff Wamsley. He is the owner of the Mothman Museum, and I believe the key person in starting the Mothman Festival, right?
Yeah. He and his partner, whose name escapes me, who made the Mothman website.
That's right.
They started this in 2005. Was the first. I think it was like 2005, 2010. That was the first one, and then they kind of kept it going. And when he was really nice. He seemed to also be a little bit dumbstruck by just the sheer amount of people.
Yeah.
Like he was.
I was really surprised more people weren't talking to him, but I bet it's because a lot of people didn't know who he was.
Maybe.
And the only reason I knew what he was, because he looked like, is because we saw him Friday sitting outside his museum then, and then we also saw him a lot in the documentary because he's in it. And so I was like, oh, there's that's that guy. And like so Mike walked over and talked to him. And then I saw the guy in the hat, and I was like, God, he looks so familiar. And I walked around the corner, and I was like, I think that's the guy that I saw in Search of Monsters, which is a documentary. It's like a not an anthology. What would you call it? Like a collection. It's like a collection of cryptids, different cryptids. So they do like a Bigfoot, Dogman, Wendigo, Mothman. There's a bunch of them. But anyway, and I was like, I think that's who that is. And so like, it's so stupid because like I wanted to talk to him because I at least had an in, and there weren't a lot of people around his table, and I didn't feel as much like he would feel bothered if I went up and talked to him. So like we walked around outside the tent, and I looked him up to make sure I wasn't crazy. And then we went back in the tent, and I was like, hey, and like we talked to him, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw you in Search of Monsters. And he talked a little bit about that, his experience. And he's also an author. He has a plethora of books. And so I was like, well, I'd love to get one of your books while I'm here. And he like signed it for me. And we talked about some like, what do you call them? Like behind this, some secret stuff about In Search of Monsters. And we talked about his, travel stuff. And I asked him, I was like, are you open to coming on and talking to stuff like, like YouTube channels and stuff? And, he was like, yeah. And he like, Mike gave him like very like loan shark. Mike gave him the cards that I think printed. I
startled him a little bit because he's just like
he had him at the ready. It was really funny. So he did take it though and looked at it and like everything. So hopefully, but anyway, so then and then the other side that had the other meet and greets, it was a lot. Like it was like jam packed. I don't know who was over there, but it was like super jam packed. And so then we had to make the long trek back.
Yeah.
We're fixing to wrap up our night.
Yeah.
But wanted to talk about our experience at Mothman. It was a lot of fun. I do recommend when you do things like this, just, unless you're just like a planner, I guess, or somebody who's like weird. But I am very glad that we took our time to do things, that we didn't plan every second of our day. We didn't start at the ass crack of dawn. Like we were able to kind of like relax and then go do things we wanted to do. And I really think that made the experience that much better. We didn't lose anything by not being there from 8 a.m. to 6 o'clock tonight. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? And by the time we left, like people were already like, had been there. So they were already starting to like kind of shuffle out and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Mothman was fun. We need to do more things like this. We need to be doing more things in Atlanta because Atlanta does stuff like this all the time. Maybe not quite to this scale and maybe not necessarily cryptids, but there's all kinds of like conventions and stuff that and I don't mean big like Dragon Con. I mean like smaller ones that they do. But
Dragon Con would be fun.
Dragon Con would be fun one day. I think the next thing I plan to try to do travel wise that I know of for sure I really, 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 really want to do is there's a found footage festival in Cali in March. I really want to try to do that. But otherwise, yeah, we need to do more things like this. It was fun. Mike made us a drink.
Yep. I'm calling it the Foggy Lantern just because, Mothman. And I'm sure you'll put the video up on like us making it.
It's going to be TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. But it is homemade blackberry soda with gin and a little lime juice. And
it's really good.
Very refreshing. Not overly sweet.
I added more blackberry syrup to mine, but I'm a sugar addict. Like, I can't help it.
I'm actually drinking like just straight blackberry soda because it's actually really, really good. I'll
Oh, you refilled it?
Yeah, well, I refilled mine.
That's what I meant. Yeah. No, mine's the same for mine.
Like I think I'll do that again with blackberries a little bit more in season. Like so, probably next year, next summer, when we've got the blackberries that are nice and big and juicy and sweet, and that'll be really good. So.
Yeah, so that's all we have for this one. We just want to talk about our Mothman experience. Thank you guys so much for watching. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10 would do again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just make sure if you come here to do the festival, a lot of people.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
I got here all the way. We got here all the way from Atlanta. No, I guess I realized it when we stopped in Kentucky. We stopped halfway, spent the night at a hotel, and then came all the way because it was a long ass drive, y'all. And so I realized when we got to the hotel that I forgot my tennis shoes, among some other things, and I had to buy tennis shoes, but it worked out. But anyway, yes, be prepared. Don't wear flip flops.
No.
I mean, I guess do you, but I feel like you're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I have for this.
Oh, and also bring cash.
Yes, a lot of the vendors do not take credit cards.
Yes.
We paid with card where we could, and then we had cash prepared for when anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.